Hello everyone and welcome to the Anime Daily, and thank you for joining me as we talk about the Labor Thanksgiving arc within the Quintessential Quintuplets manga series. An arc that I really did enjoy from start to finish. Yes, it was short, but it was also rather sweet, while expanding on the character and developing the character of Yotsuba. Now, I said in my last review that Yotsuba needs some development slash character building, as out of all the quintuplets, she feels like the weakest one. But after this arc, that has changed my perspective, and I really did enjoy what we received. I love seeing her interactions with her sisters and with Yusuke, because each interaction gave us some new features, some new insight and information about the character of Yotsuba, and again, it just built her up and made me more invested in the character. Plus, I really did like the showcasing of innocence from Yotsuba's character. Taking Yusuke to a lot of different places that her sister likes to go to tells me, or at least hints to me as a reader, that Yotsuba might not have a lot of experience or knowledge when it comes to dating. Especially when you look at how her mind works. She's very heavily in the mindset of a date is basically when two people go to somewhere that's expensive and fancy and extravagant, in hopes of making that date special / successful. Now, the reasons to why I think this is the case for Yotsuba's character and why she thinks this way, it's got to be the way that she's brought up. Within the arc, we learn that the quintuplets, they go away on extravagant holidays in the winter. Like one year, they'll go to a nice sunny beach vacation holiday to get away from the harsh cold. The next, they'll go to a really over snowy area where it's freezing. Where Yusuke is obviously like out with that. He's someone who doesn't get to go on many trips because he's from a poorer family. Which I did like that difference in contrast. At the same time, you can also put Yotsuba's mindset down to her examples when looking at the people around her. If you think of Itsuki and Miku, I don't see any of those really going on dates and having stories to tell her. Where if you look at characters like Nino and Ichika, two of the quintuplets are most likely the ones to be dating a lot of people, different times of course, then of course they would probably over-exaggerate the details a little bit to make their experiences feel better than each other's, or something that's really, really grand. So yeah, I can see it being an influence from her upbringing and from her family and sisters being why she thinks that way. It's only when we get to the park scene at the end of this arc where we see some real emotion shine through from Yotsuba's character, as it was a meaningful place to her specifically. The mood and vibe of the entire chapter that I was reading when we got to this park scene shifted to a more of a serious type of tone, as we learned that this is a location that Yotsuba goes to cheer herself up when she's feeling down. Yes, the lively, ever so bubbly, jolly Yotsuba feels down and kind of sad at times. But the question arises as to why she feels down and sad. We have no idea. Is it possibly to do with her mother, or is she struggling at school with something, or does she not know what direction to take her life in? These are the questions we have to sort of ask ourselves and see if there's any clues or hints. And I had a look, couldn't see any. Sorry. But at the same time, I do want to learn more about Yotsuba. This makes me intrigued, invested in the character, to see more from her in the future. So this entire scene worked wonderfully in making me on board with Yotsuba's character and seeing her more often. Plus, seeing her smile at the end was absolutely magnificent. I love Yotsuba's smile. It looks amazing here, and it's full of emotion and it's genuine, which what makes it even more impactful. Especially when Yusuke starts acting out a character, becoming a bit more goofy, and the two start having a connection and generally look like they're bonding together in this particular moment. Now, of course, there's always this kind of looming question of who the bride is that we saw at the beginning. And if it does turn out to be Yotsuba, which I have no idea who it is, I still have, for the most part, keeping myself spoiler free from the ending. But at the same time, if it is Yotsuba, and I was the writer writing this series, I would have it to where Yusuke proposes in this park. Because it's the first time they generally bonded together and they're having laughs together. Yusuke comes out of his comfort zone in front of her, and it just feels natural. Especially as well, when you look at the surrounding area that they're in. This is a park that's where we get the most development and the most kind of showcasing from Yotsuba, and it's also a place where Yusuke can access. Obviously, if Yusuke were to try and access that posh restaurant or that massaging parlor or go shopping, he wouldn't really be able to be there comfortably because of his poor background. But the fact that the place that Yotsuba feels at ease and the calmest and the happiest is in a place that's public and easy to access and you don't need money to go to. So it makes Yotsuba seem a little bit more human, a little bit more down to earth than, say, a stuck-up rich girl. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does, but that's the way I perceived it anyway. Now, talking about Yusuke, his transitions throughout this arc, starting off as not really caring about this Thanksgiving holiday, to understanding the importance of thanking someone, to then act out of character and letting himself loose, relaxing and enjoying himself at the end on that swing, being goofy, being comedic, and being very different than what we know from him. He even shows signs of maturity by setting aside the fact that he must give Yotsuba a gift to say thank you, and actually starts wanting to give her something. The fact that he then changes his mindset from, oh, I've got to do this thing, what do you want, I got to give you it, to the end he was genuinely wanting to give her something meaningful that she could use. I thought that was presented rather nicely and shows a bit of growth in Yusuke at the same time. I do feel a little bit sorry for both Miku and Ichika for getting seen off by Yusuke, but surely they must have known that something was up with Yotsuba, hence to the teasing of trying on certain outfits. They might not have known that it was Yusuke within that changing room, but they may have had their suspicions that it was a person in there nevertheless, and it would make their sister embarrassed, i.e. a man she would want to hide. I am still curious though to see the outcome of both Miku and Ichika finding Yusuke in that dressing room, as I want to know how that would affect the relationship of the characters moving forward. Because at the moment we got Ichika, Miku, Yotsuba, kind of Yusuke really listening to him and wanting advice and studying. But then, of course, as Miku and Ichika's emotions grow more and more, the fact that they messaged him asking him out on a date, he said, no, I'm studying or I'm busy, and then they find out that he's with another sister, that would be heartbreaking for them especially. So that really would affect Yusuke's job in a particular way. So again, I'd like to see how they dealt with that situation if it were to have arisen. So maybe we get like an alternative chapter where like it happens again but a different outcome comes. I don't know. Nevertheless though, I'm glad that it really didn't, because it did lead to more development for Yotsuba, which again, it's a good thing in my opinion. The small information about Ichika getting more job offers after her movie was a nice little addition, and it could play a role in later situations, or it could be used to help establish her feelings by showing how strong they truly are. Maybe she gets offered a job role for a really big movie and a big part, but she decides to turn it down because she would rather be with Yusuke and kind of have this moment with him that may arise in the future. So I'm hoping they can use that aspect as well, because that would be pretty fun and pretty cool. One negative I do have, however, was Yusuke thinking back on that flashback yet again, and the series basically going, oh, was that girl we saw in the last arc Yotsuba? Was she the one helping young Yusuke around the city? I get it, it makes sense for him to imagine it because he was just thinking about it a few days ago, and, you know, it's recently fresh in his mind again, so why not have him think about it and make that callback? But it's just the teasing. They do it every arc and it's slightly getting old and stale in my opinion. Overall, a great arc for all the characters involved. Well, maybe not Nino, as she did appear, but she really didn't have anything to do. Her only line of dialogue was, oh my god, no one's home, I'm so bored. But I'm glad to see that Reina and Izuki are still friends and they're interacting, as well as Reina looks and acts a lot older than she currently is. So I do quite like her character a lot. She's pretty cool. Overall, this was a great arc for all the characters that were involved. Well, maybe not Nino. She didn't really do anything. She had one line of dialogue and was like, oh my god, no one's home, I'm so bored. That was it. But I'm glad to see that Reina and Itsuki are still friends and interacting, as well as Reina, she acts really old for her age. As in, she's mature, grown up. Which is one reason why I really do like her character. She's awesome. The comedy was really good, and the emotion towards the end was absolutely solid. Like I said, I absolutely loved seeing Yotsuba smile. I like seeing Yusuke act out of character, and Ichika acting a bit cheeky, and Miku just being a bit kind of, what's going on? But at the same time, yeah, I can't wait for this arc to be animated. This will be beautiful, especially seeing all of those lights sparkling as Yotsuba flies off the swing. I think that would be brilliant. And the structure of this arc was well structured. It worked nicely, it had a good story, and the message behind it was clear and easy to understand. Now I know this review might be a bit on the short side this week, but if I do get time, I will try and upload for next one, so make sure you stick around for next week to see that one. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new for more quintessential quintuplets and kind of love, comedy, action, fantasy, manga, webtoon, stuff in the future. Anime related, manga related, all things cool. Hopefully. Anyway, most importantly, just have a great day. Alligator, madane, goodbye.